This land isn't just in your blood. It's under your fingernails and worn with pride. It's not a job. It's your livelihood. Here, overtime is all the time. But you wouldn't have it any other way. It's written into your DNA. It's what you thrive on. And while farming will never be easy, we can make it better. Introducing the Pioneer 100 series. Meaningfully different canola hybrids.
It's time for RealAg Radio on Rural Radio Channel 147 on Sirius XM. RealAg Radio and RealAgriculture.com is your home for insight and analysis of the issues that are impacting your farm business. Let's get real and get connected with RealAg Radio. Welcome to RealAg Radio here on Rural Radio 147, Sirius XM. Shaun Haney, your host here on this Thursday edition of the show. And of course, today it's the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer 100 Series, the highest yielding Pioneer brand canola hybrids ever. This isn't just better canola, it's different canola. Contact your local Pioneer sales representative or visit pioneer.com/100 series to learn more. Okay, today on the Farm Rapid Fire, we got a great list of growers. Well, actually, we'll start with Pioneer. We got Mike Weir coming out of Manitoba. We've got Drew Spoelstra in Ontario, Luke Fisher's in Nova Scotia, Rob Stone is in Saskatchewan, and Jason James is coming out of Drumheller, Alberta. If you have any feedback on today's program, you can send me an email, shaney@realagriculture.com, or you can also call the RealAg feedback line, 855-776-6147. Let's start off this week's Farmer Rapid Fire in Binbrook, Ontario. And, of course, we're dropping in on Drew Spoelstra's farm. Hey, Drew, how are we doing?
Oh, we're doing all right today. How about you, Shaun?
Pretty good. The crops, well, I guess, first of all, you done planting?
Yeah, we're pretty well wrapped up after last week. Certainly had better springs in the past, but it is what it is, and we've worked our way through most of it.
Main challenge, what?
Weather. We actually had a really nice April. May kind of went backwards. Got a little bit of stuff in, and then got some heavy rains and really sat idle into June. And some of the stuff we did plant in May was a struggle to get out of the ground, and we're on some pretty heavy clay, and you got to treat it with kid gloves lots of times. So, had to kind of rescue some corn and replant some beans, but now we're finally getting some nice rains here today to hopefully get things up and going and off to the races.
Was the soybean replant an easy decision or a tough one?
It was easy.
Yeah.
There wasn't much there at all, and I took a drive through the field and said, bring the drill.
Yeah, okay. So what kind of weather conditions do you need now? Like, what are we cheering for?
Yeah, we need some heat and some moisture. Yeah, we haven't had a lot of rain over the last few weeks, and which has been good to get some crops in, but of course need some moisture to get things going, and the heat. It's been cool. We haven't had a lot of heat units, so we've had a lot of cold nights, and really cooler north winds and tough weather to dry hay and things like that. So yes, some moisture here today is welcome. We're getting some thunderstorms rolling through, and some humidity to get things up and going. So hopeful for that, and then some nice drier weather to clear out so we can make some dry hay.
Yeah, with doubling your seed cost on some of those soybean acres on the replant, that's not helpful for profitability.
No, it makes things tough, but that's why you carry crop insurance and deal with a good seed company that's nice to you and other things like that. So
yeah, well put. Okay, what else is going on the farm right now?
Yeah, just doing hay, finishing up some cropping, lots of spraying to do. Dairy farm too, so keeping up with the cows and breeding and feeding and all the management stuff, catching up where we've let the ball drop over the last couple of weeks while I've been in the field. But things are busy around the farm. Things are busy off the farm too.
Yeah, this is kind of the time of year where, especially if you got livestock and cropping, you're just like in an all-out sprint.
Yeah, long days for sure, and just trying to hit the priorities when they pop up and getting what you can done in the day before the next day starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Things are working well in the dairy barn, though?
Yeah, really good. Really happy with the changes we've made there and investments over the last couple of years to new technology and new barn. And we're about a year and a half in and rolling right along in the new barn. And cows are milking well, averages up around 40 liters, and pretty happy with the cow comfort aspect and how they've really adapted well.
Yeah. How, from a cow comfort standpoint, how much of an impact does that have on output and production?
Oh, it's huge. There's no question. The more comfortable you can keep the cow, the more active they are, and getting out, going to the robot, more visits per day. Temperature in the barn, air movement, they all have a huge impact on how the cow operates. And we're really happy with the way things have turned out and the way they're producing and active in the barn.
Yeah, you're also active in egg policy circles with the UFA. Mm-hmm. What's been going on there off farm? What are some of the big priorities?
Yeah, well, we've been at the Federation of Agriculture, we've been working a lot with our commodity groups provincially here, as well as national groups like CFA and others to really look to collaborate where we can on different policy issues to force or send some of that messaging up to different levels of government, be it provincial or federal, and really trying to get the message out there on different things that we need in agriculture to succeed and move the industry forward. So, like investing in productive capacity of the industry, investing in processing capacity, those types of things. Programs for people and businesses that are affected by tariffs and other trade challenges, or interprovincial trade. We've been looking at some of those options and looking to streamline things where we can as well. And from that aspect, so, there's lots of work ongoing with every organization in agriculture, but certainly with the general farm organizations, they're pretty active on these trade files and U.S. relations, and I'm sure that's going to continue for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. So as a general farm org, how does OFA see some of some of the trade issues with the U.S.? Trade's important, but you've also got people in membership where trade not as important because it's under SM, right? So how do you balance all that?
Yeah, I think for sure that's a factor, and something that we're always trying to balance out. The way we look at it is we want every aspect of the industry to succeed. We want every aspect of the industry to be successful and profitable. The tariffs and the impacts on trade are going to affect everyone. Our costs are increasing because of some of these challenges, whether it's fertilizer, fuel, some of the other input products that we're bringing on farm. So, a lot of our members, whether they're in supply management, whether they're non-supply, supply managed, there's going to be impacts in multiple different ways. And so, that's where we've been doing our best to try and bring the industry together to hit on some of those high level messages and things that we see as moving the whole industry forward and finding ways for the whole group to succeed.
Well, we know this agricultural trade with the U.S. it's important. I think it's like 600. It's
huge.
It's huge, man. I think it's like 600 billion. Is that right? That might be total trade.
Oh, yeah, it might be total trade. The numbers jump around, but I think it's I get Ontario numbers and Canadian numbers mixed up in my head sometimes. But so we're sitting right around 26 billion, I think, out of Ontario here. Yeah. Heading into the United States, and of course, a lot of that, is meat products, beef, and fruits and vegetables, and greenhouse grown vegetables. So a lot of those industries are going to be, could potentially and have been hit hard by tariffs. Thankfully, we've seen some of that pulled back and kind of rolled into CUSMA, and hopefully over the next month or so we can settle out some of these differences and get some type of agreement in place if you listen to the leaders after the G7 this week. But, there's still a lot of work to be done. There's still a lot of advocacy work from organizations right across the country to keep moving forward. Of course, we've still got steel and aluminum tariffs in place that are having a big impact on building materials and equipment costs and things like that. So there's lots of ongoing work to continue on and advocacy work for the industry.
Yeah. And do you have any impressions of the G7 summit?
Not really. I mean, I think it is what it is. It's a good forum, and I think something that's certainly worthwhile, bringing leadership from across multiple nations together to have some of those conversations. I think there's certainly a wild card in that mix, and we all know who I'm talking about. But it's a continued conversation and a continued exercise in building relationships, and that's what a lot of our business is in terms of farm politics and farm advocacy is building relationships with people across the industry and across government. And I think it's a lot the same in politics, whether that's federal, provincial, international.
Yeah. Well, hey, Drew, great stuff. Hopefully this replant of the beans makes a big difference and Mother Nature cooperates, and we'll talk to you a little bit later on in the growing season, okay?
Yeah, we're hoping for the best. Thanks a lot, Shaun.
All good. That's Drew Spoelstra out of Ontario. We're back with more of the Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada right after this. Built on over 100 years of seed innovation and unwavering commitment to farmers, Pioneer 100 Series canola hybrids deliver a step change in yield performance and agronomic traits. This isn't just better canola, it's different canola. Pioneer 100 Series. Contact your local Pioneer sales representative or visit pioneer.com/100 series to learn more today.
If you only listen to RealAg Radio, you only get half the picture. For greater insight into the issues that affect farming, tune in to RealAgriculture.com. Crops, livestock, machinery, farm management, and the markets, even food and travel. Real Agriculture Online digs deeper into the topics that affect the way you work and live. So get connected today. Read, watch, and listen to the people who know at RealAgriculture.com.
Peter Johnson at Wheat Pete, RealAgriculture.com, and what an opportunity! Oh my gosh! You think you can't grow better wheat? You are absolutely wrong. We're going to show you how to strive for those record wheat yields that they get in the UK and in New Zealand. You can grow 150 bushel wheat. I'll show you how.
Catch Wheat Pete's Word every Wednesday on RealAgriculture.com or download the podcast on iTunes or Spotify. Up next on the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada, is Luke Fisher, who's in Brookfield, Nova Scotia. Luke, how are we doing?
Oh, not bad, Shaun. How are you?
Hey, man, I'm doing pretty good. What's going on the farm this week?
Oh, a little bit of everything. We're actually finally getting some heat this week. Man, what a cold, wet spring we've had. And you can really see it on the emergence in the corn and beans. It's been a tough go this spring, I tell you, but everyone's pretty much wrapped up in Nova Scotia and the corn's up. Guys will be top dressing next week, but yeah, no, it's been good. Definitely not like last year. We were planting corn last week, April last year, and I tell you, the best we could do was middle of May. The soil temperatures wouldn't rise, and geez, we even had a frost event last weekend. It's been cold. But, yeah.
Any soybean replants at all?
No, I haven't done any replants. Guys pretty much waited out on the beans. We put the corn in first. I would have been one of the earliest to put beans in just because it was my driest ground. But yeah, emergence isn't the greatest. I aimed for 170,000 plants and yeah, it's coming. But yeah, no need to replant them, but
yeah.
No.
What you mentioned top dressing, what's that program look like?
We got a few guys. So we have Pure Yield 2 and Pure Yield 1, which is a controlled release nitrogen. So some guys are doing some slow release, and that releases wind. It's based on the temperature and the moisture. So some guys can go at spike and just leave it sit there, but most of our guys are going in at 4 or 6 leaves and just top dressing with some urea, some AS, and we like to throw in 40, 50% control release just to let the nitrogen release out at tassel. But a lot of our growers are livestock growers, so they have beef cows and dairy cows, so they got a lot of organic N releasing from the manure as well.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. What else is going on the farm?
Well, a lot of the pre-emerges are done, so we do the pre-emerges on the beans and the corn. We just put the fusarium head blade on our wheat this week. Just to show you how late we are compared to last year. We were spraying our head blades June 10th last year, and here we are today, the 18th. So we're a good 10 days behind. It's been a crazy spring, and the nights here are 3-4 degrees, so it just slows everything down.
Ouch.
And one thing that's really hurting our growers is because because the flowers are so late this year, we started losing protection, and the stripe rust came in this year. And last week, my goodness, the stripe rust in the wheat. Normally we'd have that head spray on June 10th and we'd get that fungicide on and we keep our canopy clean. But because we're so late and 10 days, that stripe rust can take over that canopy some quick. So a lot of guys went out with a group 3, like a propiconazole last week, just to give us that little bit of protection till the head spray went on. But yeah, it's crazy how fast that stripe rust can run through the crop. But
how far are you from the coast?
From the coast? Well, I am sitting in Truro right now, so the Bay of Fundy, I'm looking right at it. So,
yeah, like 10 feet. Yeah. I don't know. Something like
that. yeah, exactly. So yeah, but I haven't seen a lot of stripe rust in wheat, but I just, all these hurricanes coming up the coast the past few weeks, that it must have blew right up. So, but
I had the fortunate chance I think it was last June, about a year ago, to go to Nova Scotia and tour around a little bit for a meeting that I was at in Halifax. From your perspective, what's one of the things about agriculture in Nova Scotia that maybe everybody isn't aware of, that isn't in the province on a daily basis?
Well, we have a huge dairy industry here as well as chickens. So we are a huge net importer of corn. So it's really great for cash crop guys to be direct to consumer. Like I said, we're not exporting or loading vessels. We do load a soybean vessel, but it is really great to see all these guys growing corn for the dairy herds as well as the chickens. And same with the wheat. The wheat goes direct to farm or through a feed mill, and we're all really tied in as one. And there's a lot of custom work that bounces around. So I mean, the price of equipment is skyrocketed. So when one guy gets a self-propelled sprayer or a forage harvester, they go around doing custom work, and we're pretty united here in Nova Scotia. And yeah, I wouldn't say we're all competing. We're in it for the long haul together.
Yeah. There's a lot happening in the province, agricultural wise.
Yeah, and I mean, Nova Scotia has such a various of soils and temperatures. Like you go up to Cape Breton and a lot of forage up there, and then you go 4 hours down to Annapolis Valley, and we're growing grapes and apples, and we grow almost every crop here. We're not quite like Southern Ontario, but I feel like we're kind of like the same various of crops like them. So
yeah,
but and it makes it kind of fun. It spreads the risk. So
people feeling very optimistic about the year ahead, or cautiously there. So what's kind of the mood of the day with farmers?
It's I don't know. It's okay. We had an extraordinary year last year. Just so much heat, and the yields were crazy. Like we were seeing 75 bushel beans, 220 corn. Everyone was just so excited. And I think they're still riding the high from last year because, man, it's been a tough go this year. But no, we're into June now. So everyone's wrapped up and like first cuts off. They'll get their top dress done on their corn and things will slow down and we'll get more of those grower meetings and get out and see how the farmers are feeling. So.
Yeah. How many cuts will you get in a season?
Well, a lot of guys, I mean, alfalfa's getting tougher to grow here. Just our winters are so variable. So a lot of guys are switching to like a fescue or an orchard grass, and they're cutting every 28, 27 days. And when we had a year like last year, we didn't get frost till December, and they were getting 5-6 cuts. And yeah, it's a lot of trips, but man, the forage were testing great, and the milk was coming out of the cows.
Wow.
So, and because with that, and the corn was so great, the test weight was so great in the corn. There's just so much starch, and the cows are doing great on the feed from last year.
You know, when you have a year like that where it just seems everything lines up, it's like always like, oh, what is next year going to be like? Because it probably won't be like this one. It always is a challenge coming off one of those.
And farmers know that you get one good year, maybe 2 out of 5. So they're like, all right, we had last year. So we ride the high and we love what we do. So, that's farming. We just put your head down and get to work and hopefully enjoy it sometime. But
it's sort of like being a fan of the Florida Panthers, right? You're sort of like, hey, we've won 2 cups in a row. Next year can't be this good.
The potential is there. But yep.
Yeah. Well, hey, really appreciate you joining us here today, Luke. All the best to you, and we'll check in with you a little bit later on in the growing season, okay?
Okay, great. Thanks, Shaun.
Hey, really appreciate that. That is Luke Fisher. He's out of Brookfield, Nova Scotia. We will come back with more of the Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada right after this.
Hi, I'm Bernard Tobin, host of the Soybean School on RealAgriculture.com. Throughout the year on the Soybean School, we'll bring you timely agronomic video content from planting to harvest, from the latest agronomic research to the latest in production technology. Check out our massive video library on YouTube, RealAgriculture.com, or download the audio podcast versions wherever you get your podcasts. The Soybean School is brought to you by Mazik Seeds and Lalamon Plant Care.
If you're involved in the agriculture industry, it's important to stay informed on all the latest issues affecting your business. At RealAgriculture.com, we offer fast, reliable news, information, and insights to help you keep on top of all of the latest in Canadian agriculture. Visit RealAgriculture.com and sign up for our free daily newsletter covering everything from news, agronomy, animal agriculture, and much more. Visit RealAgriculture.com/subscribe today.
The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com is a video series that showcases the latest in canola research and production agronomy. Learn from some of the best at your own pace through quick and timely producer-focused videos available on our YouTube channel. The Canola School on RealAgriculture.com is the quickest way to keep up to date on all the latest in canola production. Boost your canola IQ with the Canola School, brought to you by BASF, and visit canolaschool.com.
Farmer Rapid Fire here on RealAg Radio is brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And let's stop in Saskatchewan. We're going to Davidson, and we're talking to Rob Stone. Hey, Rob, how are we doing?
Hey, it's great in the greater Davidson area today.
Awesome. Now, there's agritourism. Some people do this. I didn't know you were into it. You had some visitors on the weekend.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we had a couple of people stop by the farm on the weekend, which was quite nice. We had the Federal Minister of Agriculture and Saskatchewan Minister of Agriculture, Darrell Harrison, was along with him, and actually the President of SARM as well, Bill Huber. So it was kind of a, and of course their staff and related people that came with them. So it was quite a fun get together on a Saturday afternoon. Beautiful day too.
Yeah, very cool. So it was great to see Minister MacDonald out and about in Saskatchewan. So did you put him to work, or what'd you do on the farm? What'd you show him?
we kind of did your basic farm tour that I like. I'm starting to get a little better at these things. It's quite nice to show some of the technology and the seeding stuff that we have. And yeah, we had an opportunity that we weren't busy spraying at the moment, so I had the sprayer sitting and ready for him to go give it a drive and check out some of the technology and application things that we're able to do with it. So didn't exactly put him to work, but I think a commitment for next time is he'll have to come out and put a day in on the sprayer. So that'll be pretty good.
You don't need to put words in his mouth, but what did you sense his reaction was when he saw, just obviously the amount of people there, but also kind of the scale and things like that you're doing on your farm?
Yeah, I think it was a really good visit for him to be out here, and certainly won't put words in his mouth because it's, I think, be a great interview for you to have him with him after his trip out west. But I definitely got the impression that he really appreciated the scale and scope of what we're doing out here, and I was really impressed that he wanted to get out here so quickly to see what was happening out in Saskatchewan, which is 40% of the arable land, and all those sorts of statistics that he was familiar with as well. So it was good to be able to experience that. He was really enjoys the technology and the research aspect of agriculture. So it was great to be able to show the implementation of a lot of these things that have developed over the years. So I think he wasn't gobsmacked by any ways, definitely had an awareness of what was going on out here, but it was certainly great to be able to kind of apply it to some of the thoughts that he had. So
now you got to. Is this the third federal ag minister you've had? Like, did you have Marie-Claude Bebeau at your farm?
I did not. That was when I was kind of like the grumpy guy back in the day. I managed to write a letter to the office, just to the Parle office thing with no reply. But yes, Minister McCauley was out, and recently Minister MacDonald was out as well. And in the past, Cody Blois we had visited in the greater Davidson area, but not at my farm. So kind of been nice to be able to connect with some of these folks. Yeah,
you're like if someone's going to be the ag minister, it's almost like the first month. It's like, what are we doing the first 100 days? Well, we're going to Davidson.
I would avail myself to that. That would be kind of the neat angle. One of the half the stops, right?
Yeah, I like
that
it.
Would be neat.
Okay, so how are the crops looking?
They look better than they should right now. We're not a lot of moisture, all of those sorts of things, but we had some moisture during May to kind of catch up some germination. Hilltops and things are behind. We've got a couple of fields of wheat that I'm not very proud of right now, but overall everything else is pretty okay. If it got hot for a couple of days, I think it would be pretty not okay. It's been cool, cloudy, getting 3/100ths of an inch, 5/100ths of an inch type of increments of little showers and things like that makes things perked up, but we're not moving ahead. Some of the early wheat is starting to flag leaf, and I suspect that there's a few heads starting to push out, so that's a little early. So some premature reproductive activity happening, so that is the sign of stress for sure.
Yeah. So you got some subsurface moisture there that's allowing it to hold on, or what? Like,
we had lots of snow.
Yeah. Okay.
So there was some of that, and then the argument goes on how much you can't grow a crop on snow, but it does give you a bit. We were really dry going into freeze up last fall. Like, there was no moisture since basically last July. So it's just kind of hanging on. I think the cool temperatures as much as anything. We've had just over an inch since the snow left us this spring. So
yeah, Ontario's probably had that this week, like maybe in the last 12 hours.
Yeah, it sounds like some of the areas they're having trouble getting to their second replants and all kinds of fun things that they're trying to do there. That's not great. It's too bad we can't average that out a little better.
Yeah, other end of the spectrum, right? There's been a bunch of soybean replants. We heard from Drew Spoelstra from Ontario earlier on the show here. We also heard from Nova Scotia, where it's been cool and very, very wet. So it's just different. Mother Nature can just bring it on both ends. Like, it's
exactly.
Yeah.
So we've got we're keenly tuned to every weather app that says we're getting an inch this weekend.
I've got the same thing in Lethbridge. It's saying, let's hope.
Oh, if we don't get this one, there will definitely be a turnaround in crop condition and I think attitude and optimism towards this year in general. So I hate being that guy, but I think that's kind of where we're at right now.
Yeah. So because of this, have you been pretty cautious on your crop marketing?
Yes. Yeah. Looking more at definitely the puts rather than cash sales and the canola side of things, even though the canola market's been looking pretty nice lately. I actually did. Well, should I say that? Yeah, I sold some wheat this morning.
Okay.
So a little bit. I haven't done any, so we may as well have a little bit done. And I think I'm going to be pretty cautious after that. So
Yeah.
but we will grow something. But we're not getting too carried away. That's for sure.
Yeah, and that goes back to that 2021 hangover, probably, right?
Yeah. A couple of those checks. I will always remember writing those in July, August, and September, getting out of some stuff that we thought was a no-brainer, natural that we could grow. So yeah, that doesn't go away easily.
Well, after our conversation, you're headed to the big city of Regina. You're on the Sask Wheat Board. What are some of the big issues and things that people are talking about around that table right now, if you don't mind sharing?
Sure. Yeah. No. Just I think right now it's your basic issues: transport, trade, research, and investment, and all of the stuff that goes with research things with serial breeding and all of that sort of thing. And looking at the business planning and all of the stuff internally, and just all of the issues that seem to always be circling around that we need to stay on top of, like that.
Yeah, I'm curious. You're somebody that can kind of call it both ways. Like you'll speak your opinion. You're not necessarily like a super partisan person. At least that's not how I take you. What's your impression of Carney right now?
I'm not super partisan outgoing, but certainly inside I do have opinions. People have been privy to those at times, but I think the problem that, if I can say this without any reluctance, is that when you have something that is kind of so bad for so long, that anything in comparison to it is better. So there's still, that's kind of what I see, is that there's some things that are going on that are good, but there's still, I think I have some concern long term with some of our debt and all that sort of stuff. Just on the federal side of things, that he's got to get under control. He's got left a lot of things to solve, defense things and all this trade stuff. So from agriculture, I'm hopeful that Carney will let agriculture do its thing, and with the economic focus that had been talked about at the tour on our farm, and I think he was very, very blunt about that. If we see an economic focus come through, at least on the ag side of things, I think we're going to just have to let go and not pay attention to the greater, everything else that goes on. Because I think every party, or all of the politics, they don't always make decisions that we agree with. So just have to focus on what's most important to us.
Yeah, nope. Appreciate the honest opinion. So last week I had asked people who were on the Farmer Rapid Fire here if you could sit down with the federal Minister of Agriculture, and you had 10 minutes of his time, what would you tell him? Well, you had some of his time on the weekend. So what was your key message to him?
I think our key message certainly was ensuring that the economic lens, like he talks about, is applied to agriculture decisions, and the sustainability and the environmental aspects of agriculture have always been important. But certainly we need to focus on economy for the country, and recognizing how important agriculture is to Canada's economy. So that comes with trade infrastructure, that comes with trade agreements. So we're talking about port and labor disruptions and all of those sorts of things. So we had I had more than 10 minutes, and I was able to kind of do the talk on what things are important, and hopefully those are the things that kind of pull through as being a priority in the mandate.
Great stuff. Well, hey, Rob, great work. I'm glad you're willing to take a Saturday and do a tour like that and host a new ag minister, somebody new to the industry that seems to be pretty curious about it and wanting to put the best foot forward. So you're a big part of communicating some of the message. So appreciate you doing that.
It was a lot of fun, and it was great to be able to have the family. But Saturday nobody was at school or anything else, so the kids were able to meet up, and he invited some 4-H kids to come along as well and do some presentations. So it was a really good interaction for everybody. So yeah, it was well worth it. Yeah,
I have a picture from when I was probably 6 years old. Alberta Premier Peter Lougheed came to our farm, and I still have a picture of him and I together, which is pretty cool.
That kind of stuff stays with you, that's for sure.
Yeah. He came in on a helicopter and landed the helicopter at the farm.
That's even better. That's a good entrance.
That's pretty cool.
Got to start working on my entrance.
Great stuff. Hey, Rob, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much, Sean.
That is Rob Stone coming out of Davidson, Saskatchewan. We've got more of the Farmer Rapid Fire brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada right after this quick break. I get to spend every day talking to farmers in the ag industry through RealAgriculture.com and RealAg Radio. But nothing is more fun than speaking to an audience live and in person. If you're planning an ag event, book a Real Agriculture speaker to make it a successful and memorable experience. Email shaney@realagriculture.com and you can book myself or any other Real Ag personality to speak at your event. Bring your audience all the fun, insight, and energy of Real Agriculture.
It's summertime, and you've got a lot of important decisions to make when it comes to your corn crop. Let the Corn School on RealAgriculture.com help guide you through those big decisions with input from leading experts in the field. If it's spray timing, disease identification, or any other field issue, the Corn School's got you covered. The Corn School on RealAgriculture.com. Brought to you by BASF and Pride Seeds.
Up next on the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. Let's go to Drumheller, Alberta, and we're talking to Jason James. How are we doing, Jason?
Oh, I'm doing great. Yeah, we got a little bit of rain and not a whole bunch, but we got 4 or 5 tenths, so that's a pretty good rainfall for this area.
Oh,
but the crops are coming up nice. The later stuff, it was kind of the ground broke up chunky, so we didn't get 100% germ. We probably only had 80, 85. So we'll see if it's going to get started now with this little shot of rain, and hopefully we get more this weekend that keeps things going.
Yeah. Have you had much moisture around you?
Anywhere from 2 to 3 inches. So I guess that's lots compared to some people.
Yeah.
But it's definitely dry. Well, the wind's just dried out. You get an inch of rain or half an inch of rain, and the wind blows for the next 3 days, and you're in a deficit already.
Yeah. Which of the crops looks the best?
The wheat and peas look the best because they were put in earlier and they got a little shot of rain, and then the ground just tends to break up lumpy when we seeded the barley and a little bit of the canola. So we'll see if things perk up in the next little while here. But hopefully this weekend we grab an inch or two and we'll be good for another week or two.
Yeah, it's looking like a forecast where we could maybe get upwards of, I don't know what they're saying for your area, but for Lethbridge, it's like 70 mils maybe.
Yeah, we're anywhere from 70 to 90 mils. So even if we get 20 or 25, I'll be very, very happy.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and hopefully it's rain and not hail, because there's been some of that out there.
Yeah, we've had a little storm to the north of us last night, and then there was a bigger storm to the north of that on Friday night. That one was devastating. It was fairly good size hail, up to golf ball size, and wherever it went, it did a lot of damage to houses and trees and crops and everything. So not good.
How's spraying been going?
Not bad, actually. The wind has kind of settled down the last couple of weeks, and not a whole bunch of weeds. We got pretty good burn off, not a whole bunch of weeds growing, but I think we got about a day left here and we'll be done spraying. So, and I guess see what the next couple of weeks brings us.
Do you like spraying?
No. You get tired of getting up at 4:30, 5 o'clock and spray a tank or two and then wait all day long and spray a couple out at night. You get a little bit tired when you get older.
Some people love spraying, and to be honest, I always just think, like, I don't know, like, to me it's just a lot of stuff can go wrong, and I don't know. I never liked spraying. I did not like driving a sprayer.
The actual spraying part of it itself, like riding around, is kind of cool. You can see everything that's going on. You can see, what job the seeder guys did and see what kind of crop you have. But the stressful part is, like you say, it's you clean out, you go from one crop to another. Did I clean out right? Or am I going to be one of those guys that everybody drives by and points and says, man, he didn't clean out very good?
Well, at least what you could do is, if that happens, you're like, let the kid drive the sprayer, and it's just, this is what happens.
Yeah, or I guess things were a little bit stressed this year and showed some signs of some phyto, and that you can put up a sign and say whose product it was.
Well, there is that too. Yeah. You're more of a seeding planting kind of time guy?
Yeah, it's not bad. It's I kind of like this time of the year. Everything's coming, and you can see what quality job that everybody did, including yourself, and this is kind of a nice stage. Canola starting to get close to bolting, and wheat and barley elongating. So it's this is the enjoyable part.
Yeah, but
especially if you get rain.
Yeah, but growing up on a seed farm, this was always, we weren't too very far away from having to go rogue.
Get your exercise.
Oh, or get eaten alive by mosquitoes. Oh,
yeah. I remember hearing that word a long time ago when I worked down in your country, and people were talking about roguing. I'm like, what the heck's roguing? Oh, you got to go out there and you pull the plants. Like you walk acres and acres? Yeah, we'll do whole quarters. I'm like, wow. We never had to do that around home. Thank goodness we weren't seed farmers.
Brutal. Anyway, hey, what else you got planned for the summer?
I'll probably get away a little bit of holidays and sit on the lake and consume some beverages and get ready for fall, because I don't think it's going to be long. We got it's going to be probably headed out by the end of next week, maybe. Yeah. And not totally headed out, but it's right there. You can see the awns, and that's going to come quick. If we get some hot weather here in July, who knows what the weather forecast is? All the experts said we were going to be wetter and in the first part of June, and we weren't. They're saying that we're going to be hot in July. Maybe we're not going to be.
Well, I don't know if this makes you feel better or not, but the days are about to start getting shorter already.
Yes. That's the unfortunate part.
Oh, we haven't even had summer. It hasn't been hot yet, and we're already on the countdown to it all being over. Seems like it's wrong.
Yeah, I remember being a kid, and summer used to last forever. Now you before you know it, it's done, and you're sitting in the combine.
Well, and that's why summer is so short, right?
Yes, it is.
In this neck of the woods, that when you do have a weekend or maybe a week where things just kind of line up, take advantage of it and just enjoy a few summer days, because it's here and it's gone, and we're back into it's getting a little chillier outside, and that lasts a lot longer than these summer months do.
It certainly does. I guess we should have been born somewhere that we had a longer hot season.
We both of us could have survived very well in Costa Rica.
I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I don't know if I like the bugs, but
I know
it's definitely beautiful there.
That is the downfall. Any on your sprayer, do you have a big tender truck kind of rig set up?
We did.
Nice.
We rigged up a trailer, and then we bought some dash components out of Manitoba, and it's the best money that we spent. It was my son's project, and I wasn't too gung-ho about it because it was going to cost some money, but I tell you, safety-wise and ease of use and quickness, it is unreal. It's
really?
highly people should look at that system, because it's, like I say, it's been great. It's probably the best thing that we bought on the farm in the last couple of years. Like I say, we bought a trailer, and then we rigged up all these components and put tanks on it, and for safety, it's unreal.
Yeah. So how has it made a difference?
Chemical.
Okay, not the exposure. Okay.
Yeah, just the exposure. You're set up. You got a lot more pumps. It's bigger. You got containers that hold. You got on this one. You got 4 containers that hold products. So if you're spraying Liberty out there and you're adding a bunch of things, you can have it all in there before the sprayer comes. You can have a mix guy, and you can use bigger. Because it's bigger, then you can use bigger totes and stuff like that, and you're using a pump, and it pumps right in. You don't even see the product. So it's just measured on the side of the handler, and no exposure, and come up there and hit your valves, and away you go.
Was it super costly to put together?
It was fairly expensive.
Okay, but a good return.
I think it's going to be great. Like I say, if you can cut back on your exposure as people get older and around chemicals more and more, you ask people, how do you like spraying? Oh, I feel like crap, for that month or month and a half, whatever you're around the chemical. If you can cut that exposure down to not next to nothing, but way down from these older trailers and just not being set up right or leaking everywhere. And, I've been around some people's trailers and there's chemical leaking because the hoses are deteriorating and the cam locks are leaking. So you're stepping in it. Like that's not good either.
Yeah, no, for sure.
So I know it cuts our fill time from stuff that was taking us 20 minutes to 6 or 7 minutes.
Oh, that makes a big difference.
It's huge. We're getting probably an extra tank out a day. So you get another couple 100 acres and it's worthwhile. Put less hours on the sprayer. Yeah,
and if there's some windy times of the year, I'll tell you what, like that can make that one extra tank a day can make a big impact. Big impact.
Yep. No, it does. It's kind of nice. Like I say, my old trailer, we had it for 30 some years. I think we got about 10 grand into that trailer and it served its purpose, but I'm glad it's kind of parked over on the side.
Yeah.
You got sidelined a little bit.
You got a 120 foot boom?
135 on one sprayer and 120 on the other.
135.
You get a lot of acres done.
Okay. So on 135, would you go wider?
I think you could.
Yeah, like 150?
I think they would have to have a better boom system. Yeah, I've seen, what is it, Horst has that 150 out, and I forget how big their tank is, but if it follows the ground a little bit better the way that they claim theirs does, then it would be all right. But it's got to flex this way and that way. But most of our stuff is pretty open and flat. So you get around some coulee edges that it might be a little more difficult, but if it's got the technology to follow the ground properly, I don't think there'd be a problem. Yeah, go back in the day. I remember the first spray coop that we bought, and it was 80 feet. And how are we going to manage this? And now you're way bigger than that, 135. It's shocking how you're able to manage it.
But you're also you were also following a foam dropper too.
Yeah, or a light bar. A light bar in the middle of the screen that you're going cross-eyed and you're so mad because you can't keep the light straight.
Oh, the good old days, the good old days. Hey, Jay, this has been fantastic. Really appreciate you joining us. Thanks a lot, man.
Yeah, thank you. Have a good one.
We'll be back with more of the Farmer Rapid Fire here, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada right after this.
I'm Lindsay Smith from RealAgriculture.com. Join me Monday nights for The Agronomist, a 1-hour live and interactive show broadcast across YouTube, Facebook, and X. Monday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern, I host expert agronomists from all over the country to give you answers to some of the toughest agronomic questions. Join us live or catch the replay Tuesday morning. That's The Agronomist with me, Lindsay Smith, Monday nights live at 8 p.m. Eastern.
How's your seed quality? What should you treat with? What about herbicide carryover and environmental concerns? Spring is here, and you've got a lot of things to think about in regards to your pulse crop. The Pulse School on Real Agriculture has information and advice for all these questions and more to help you navigate this season. Brought to you by BASF. Pulse School episodes are available at pulseschool.com, realagriculture.com, or as a podcast on your favorite streaming service. Download the latest episode today.
And welcome back to RealAg Radio here for the Farmer Rapid Fire, brought to you by Pioneer Seeds Canada. And speaking of Pioneer Seeds Canada, from southern Manitoba, it is Mike Weir. Hey, Mike, how we doing?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Hey, how are the crops in your area?
Yeah, you know what? In general, there's some really good looking crop that's getting its feet under it now and tapping into some of that nutrients that we've applied. But there's a lot of crop out there too, still trying to get there. So I would say, in a nutshell, it's pretty consistently inconsistent as you're driving from one area that I cover to the other.
During the commercial break, you had described some of these stands as a little bit stagey.
Yeah, there's honestly, you could be driving down a road and look on one side of the road, and really nice established good stand, whether it's canola, corn, or soybeans, and then look on the other side and it's a whole different story. So a lot of staginess and emergence this year. I think a lot of that has to do with some planting dates, and as we crept closer to that May long weekend and that cold temperatures, cold drink of water, and it's caused a lot of staginess and emergence in all three crops that we look at.
And we're still we've had weird flirts with summer, but it hasn't been like a consistent heat yet. Like Manitoba's had some hot days, but there also has been some cool ones.
Yeah, like it's been, honestly, that May 9th, May 10th date, we were plus 30 and windy. So we were chasing moisture at that time, and the ground was warm, and it was, at that time we were worried if we didn't go, we'd run out of moisture to chase. And then we had that cold weekend, a week or 10 days after that. And that was the first drink a lot of the crop got, and it really slowed a lot of it up. So there's been some of that. There's been some really nice conditions for some of our cooler season crops. So a lot of the cereals like wheat and oats, they seem to be looking really well. And even canola now is starting to kind of get to that point where it's starting to fill in and cabbage in a bit, and it's looking like it's off to the races too. But it's just leaving some of our warmer season crops like corn and beans that we deal with a lot of growers that are calling, just asking on some of the staginess and lower plant stands and what to expect going forward.
Yeah, so let's talk about that evaluation of the plant stand. I'm calling in, I'm walking my corn and bean stand. I know it's not ideal, but I'm also not sure if I got a real problem. So what is the process I need to be going through?
Yeah, well, you try to break it back to simple terms, and it's trying to get an idea on your plant stand. So as you mentioned, and in a lot of cases, where it's thin, it's consistently thin, and we go and get some good representative areas of the field where we do a plant stand count. So corn, for example, if we're shooting for 32 final, we have some cornfields out there that are 22, 23,000 final. So it's that conversation on what's the ground conditions like, what's the moisture conditions like, how consistent is that thinner stand. We have areas where it's really good, and then areas where there's nothing, because that's a problem too going forward. And in a lot of cases, a lot of guys, once they get north of that 22, 23,000, we in a lot of cases we kept that. And the intent is hopefully we maintain a lot of that yield potential. There's a lot of data out there to support that we can achieve that. It's just setting the expectation going forward as far as weed control and needing a little bit of help on the back end in fall too, to allow all those years to get to full maturity. And then, on the bean front, same thing. Beans can compensate for some pretty thin stands, and I was just out in a field this morning just assessing a thinner stand, and it's right around that 100,000 plants per acre, which sounds thin compared to what we were targeting, but I think all in all, it should be okay, and we should be able to achieve pretty good yield potential out there too, with some help from Mother Nature moving forward.
Yeah, because it is that consideration for fall too, right? Like, because there is depending on what date we're doing a replant, we got to think about, do I got enough time at the back end to finish and make it work, especially on that corn?
Yeah, so Mother Nature dictates a lot, and she has a way of evening the score. We came out really warm in the spring, and then we got our reality check with some cooler temperatures, and in some cases you got to think about that. We have crop insurance deadlines in place to try to alleviate some of that risk on going too late. But yeah, we've had some falls here the last couple of years that have been very favorable with good moisture, good temperatures, where it's allowed a lot of our late season, full season crops to, even if they are delayed, to reach their full potential.
Yeah. You're in your truck, you're out looking at fields right now. What are you seeing with your own eyes?
Yeah. So, trying to kind of move on from the plant stand assessments that we're looking at, there's a lot of crops that are, the decision's been made whether we're going to try again or keep what we got. And now it's trying to keep those fields clean. So that's a lot of the calls I'm getting right now is, and beans that are second try foliate. And then right beside them, there's beans that are still cracking through. So it's trying to trying to figure out the weed control options that still cater to those different plant stages. And we're seeing that in corn too. Some corn that's really starting to get to that point where it's putting out a lot of leaves within a couple days. And just up the road, there'll be stuff that's 2 or 3 leaves behind. So it's just trying to work with the growers on an individual basis in each field and come up with the best, safest recommendation to go after the weed spectrum they're targeting.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, Mike, really appreciate you joining us here today on the Rapid Fire. It's great to chat with you. Keep up the great work, and we'll talk to you a little bit later on in the growing season, okay?
Yeah, good to chat.
If you have any questions or comments, we'd love to hear from you. You don't need to just be a guest on the Farmer Rapid Fire. You can do that anyways. My email address is shaney@realagriculture.com, or you can call that Real Ag feedback line, 855-776-6147. Big thanks to Pioneer Seeds Canada for being the sponsor of the Farmer Rapid Fire. Encourage you to go to pioneer.com/Canada to find out more. And thanks so much, everybody, for getting real and getting connected with Real Ag Radio. We'll chat again tomorrow. Cheers, everybody.